All right, what is going on, guys? It is Christmas Day, and it is the beginning of Rally Week. We're getting ready with the first episode on cue, and you guys will be listening to that one in just a minute with Mr. David Pearson. But before we get to that, we've got our final Christmas greetings. So hope everybody is having a great Monday, Christmas, holiday day, and enjoying.
Hey friends, this is Matthew from Rally Moto Shop. Wishing you all a warm and restful holiday season and a fast and sandy 2024. We're working on some really exciting new projects in the shop over the winter here that we're really looking forward to sharing with you in the new year. All the best.
Hi, this is Bobby Patrick, Sonora Rally Race School attendee. Just wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Ohio.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ace from High Desert Adventures. Just wishing you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Hope you're all doing well and wish you the best in 2024. Peace.
So from ours to yours, guys, I hope guys and gals and listeners worldwide, I hope you guys have an excellent holiday with your family, and we're looking forward to 2024. So with that being said, let's get to the episode. All right, what is going on, guys? It is time for another episode of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. And well, if you heard the announcements, coming in hot. We are counting down to the Dakar Rally. It is coming up January 5th. Going to be starting off the party, but before we close out the year, we are going to be doing Rally Week. That is right. We're going to be doing Rally Week on the Chasing Waypoints podcast, so stay tuned for multiple episodes coming your way. We're going to be having a new episode daily, and today, day number 1. And if you guys read the title, you know who we've got. None other than David Pearson, one half of the Pearson brothers, the Danger Twins. We're going to be having some fun. Talk about some rally stuff. Huge year in 2023, so looking forward to 2024. So we'll be talking a little bit about what has been happening and going down. But I'm excited. A lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff. So I'm excited. How's everybody's Christmas day going, huh? December 25th? Holiday day? I don't know, I think it's going to be a good one. So wrapping up the year. I'm hoping everybody's having a good year so far. Only got a few more days to turn it around if not. And if not, hey, a few more days and it's time to hit the reset button. 2024. So lots of new stuff headed your way with the podcast and a couple other projects. We'll get to those as we get to them. Let's see here. We're getting it doing. What are we going to be doing? Put this thing on focus so we don't get our spam callers from, I don't know. What do you guys, does everybody get the IRS phone calls that we do here in the States? Well, I guess that would only be a stateside thing. Maybe it's a different department abroad. It's always, John Smith with the Internal Revenue Service calling about something. You never know. Anyway, all right. Start turning the party down. I'm excited. It is Rally Week. Getting started episode number 1 with David Pearson, so let's give him a call. Moving on around. We're going to go over to the contacts. We're going to go to this way. We're going to do that one. And make sure we're typing in the name correct. There it is. Give him a call.
Good morning, Victor.
Mr. Pearson, how are you?
I am doing well, sir. Very good, thank you.
Nice, very nice. Hopefully in some drier weather. We're getting some rain here in San Diego.
No, I am sitting in my moto van south of Tucson in a rainstorm, so it's a good day to test all the equipment out on this new van, but it is raining where I'm at as well. So,
ooh, we can kind of hear it in the background. It's coming down.
yeah, I didn't know if you could hear me, and hold on, I gotta turn my heater off.
No.
Still figuring out all these details on this van. It's kind of new for me.
Yeah, the new edition. I got to see it up in Vegas a few weeks back. Now, when you first picked it up.
That's right. This is the inaugural break-in ride. My wife and I, her mother-in-law lives in Green Valley, and so we went and spent a couple of days in Madera Canyon. And I got a little dirt bike riding in, and try to see how long we can last before the power shuts off or the water cuts out or something happens.
Yeah, gotta be prepared for the unknown.
That is a fact. So, but no. Ford went pretty well in the big picture. So
nice, very nice. So man, so that was the new addition to the race team. What it's been a minute since we caught up. I mean, we've had all sorts of stuff. Baja Rally in between. A few events.
It's been a year.
Oh yeah, true. Before the Dakar was the last time we actually officially spoke on the podcast.
I think, it's crazy, how Google and Facebook and all those things just kind of like bring up all your old memories. So they're just hammering me right now with all the prep stuff that I did getting into the Dakar and some of the lead up to our events. So it's always kind of they make you go down memory lane to some degree. So it's been, it's been a crazy year, but I decided this year that I would volunteer at the races that I did last year in preparation for the Dakar. So I did extraction at the Sonora Rally and a little bit of rerouting with Scott Whitney, and then I went and worked at the Baja Rally. The Kota Rally didn't happen this year, so I didn't do that one. But so it's been a different year for me in the sense of working events rather than racing them.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, how has that been though? I mean, is it tough for you at the starting lines and the bivouacs and, knowing you're usually behind the helmet?
Well, other than you got me in trouble at was it Sonora? Was it Baja? I guess it was Baja. Cause I was doing extraction there with Dan, and we took out the Canadian guy on the Tenere T7 and he broke a couple bones and had to helicopter out. He's okay. But, so I got to ride his T7 80 kilometers into the final pit. And so then I got there and, helmet fully on back into full race mode and, got to ride somebody else's bike. And so then we had the riders meeting, and it was supposed to be followed by the staff meeting. And so when the riders meeting finished, I went and hung out with the riders and the racers and forgot to go to the staff meeting. And then they're like, we had a staff meeting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a racer, not a. So it was, I had a moment there. I'm like, I forgot which camp I'm in.
Yeah.
But it was cool, really, to see the inner workings that get you to the race. And I think we all know, but the guys that put on these events certainly don't do it for money. They do it because they enjoy it and the passion. They love the camaraderie and the competition. And, and so the Sonora, which was a world event this year, was just it was a bit of mayhem, and it was really the ASO organization and Darren and everybody trying to keep everybody on task. We had 7 extractions that week. I remember getting Patrick Reyes out of the desert at like 10:30 at night, and he's kind of sleeping underneath a sagebrush in the middle of the desert with his emergency blanket, and gets up, smile on his face. We load his bike, get him to find a place where we can all spend the night. And, and he is up early, got trucks happening, got his bike cleaned up, and is getting ready for the next race day. And, so it was cool to see how much effort goes into the actual preparation and the organization of the event. Like, I finished Sonora going, holy crap. I'm tired. This was as hard, if not sometimes harder than actually doing the actual race. So it was, I got some great appreciation out of doing the event as a volunteer as compared to as a competitor, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's I feel like as a competitor, while there is a unknown value out there, right? If something happens with the bike, or for the most part, it's a known number. You know, you're going to get to the finish line. You got to do A, B, C, and D, and then you're good. You know, but yeah, as volunteering and assisting and doing that kind of stuff, yeah, you just, you know, everybody, you're after and looking after everybody. So it definitely, I can see what you're saying. You know, it's a much more tiring type deal.
Well, you go from like almost sitting, you know, my buddy Russell and I, you know, ripped up his Raptor for 5 days at the Sonora. And so there were times where we like ran a little checkpoint, or we were just, you know, stationed in the middle of nowhere, kind of waiting for something to happen. Right. So you go from zero to hero in all of a radio call, right? You're like, okay, I'm just going to shoot the shit and talk with Russell and kind of keep an eye on the radio. And then you hear that, you know, somebody's down, something's happened. And so you're in full, you know, awareness mode, and you're trying to listen to what's happening on the radio so you can position yourself in the right spot to go, you know, help somebody, right? Because you don't know the severity of the incident or the challenges that are going to happen when you get there. And so, you know, you just like, okay, you hear something's going on, and Russell and I are like, okay, let's get prepared. Let's, you know, pack the truck, make sure if they say go, we're ready to go. And, you know, and so, you know, and like I said, we extracted 7 people over that 5 days, you know. Probably our coolest one was getting Matthew out from, you know, RMS out of the middle of the desert, right? Because you know, we couldn't get the truck into the dunes far enough to actually get to him. So we got far enough, then we had to walk about 1.5 kilometers to actually get to him. And, you know, the helicopter was there. They had him on IVs. You know, he just dehydrated. They were in the peak of heat of the day. And, you know, and so you're just, you know, some of you just freaking out. You're like, oh my God, this guy's really hurt. How do I deal with it? And, you know, you've taken your Red Cross training, you've taken all your first aid stuff. And then you're like, oh God, please don't let me have to like do some of these things. Right. And so, fortunately, none of the accidents were serious enough that they needed that level, but they still needed people to help them and get them in and get them out and, you know, deal with the vehicles and the bodies. So it was, you know, you finish and you wrap up at, you know, midnight, 1 o'clock, and then, you know, 5 a.m. you're back up again, getting out to the right position to, you know, see these guys come through. So, you know, and the ASO is a beast in itself, and every once in a while they'd start talking French, and, you know, my smart ass Canadian would come on the radio and be like, we need English, please. I need to hear what's going on in English so I can help, you know? Yeah. So, yeah,
you're saying it, I'm reliving that situation, you know, when, back in the office, you know, so it's, you're right. You know, it was definitely a different dynamic.
Yeah, it was really cool to be part of the world event. And, you know, Darren definitely put a lot of effort in to get them out for that. And, you know, it was unfortunate that at the last minute, the kind of government shut out a bit of the dune stuff for them. But ultimately, you know, just to see that level of talent on our ground, you know, and I say North American soil, you know, U.S., you know, Mexico kind of thing. It was pretty cool to watch some of that stuff happen and just see some of the talent roll through, you know, some of our stuff. And then, you know, comment about just how cool some of our terrain is compared to stuff they've been doing around the world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a neat event for me, for sure. I totally have huge respect for all the effort that Darren has to go through, and Aaron Lee and all the people that really put that on. Is just, you know, for a group of volunteers that show up with minimal direction and instruction, and most of us were, you know, prepared to do what we were supposed to do. And so, At some points you just do it, right? You just, okay, they need me here, go there. They need me here, go there. And I can't make it here. Somebody else needs to go there. And so, lots of radio chatter and just lots of coordinated effort. My wife, she's like, oh, you're finally going to go to an event that you don't actually hurt yourself. Because,
yeah,
I'm really good at hurting myself. And so I'm like, yeah, honey, this is awesome. So,
one half of the Danger Twins. That's why.
So day 3, we're out at the checkpoint, and my buddy Russell, love him, has got a Raptor. And so we're putting a sun shield on the main windscreen of the windshield of the Raptor. And when he walks around and manages to close my pinky finger in the main door, took off most of my nail and a good chunk of the skin. And thank God we were right by the helicopter and the ambulance, because I run over, I'm pretty sure I could have used a few stitches. And so then I'm sending my wife a picture. I'm like, look, honey, I ripped my finger off at the Sonora Rally. I just can't come out here without at least a little bit of blood on the ground. So yes.
It's kind of a christening kind of thing. It's just I like to leave my mark.
Yes, and unfortunately the Dakar kind of slapped me to the ground pretty hard on day 6, stage 5, and I believe I ruptured a disc in my neck and ultimately had surgery back in February to fix that problem, put a new disc in, and so I've been quite happy with the results of that, and been back on the bike riding and ripping it up a little bit. So, but that was a byproduct of my 2019 broken neck at the Baja, that I wore out the disc below it. It was coming. I knew it and felt it, and tried to get through it at the Dakar and hit the ground hard enough that it caused me a tremendous amount of pain and pulled me out of the race, So,
yeah, that's, it goes back to one of the never know situations. Everything on the bike is dialed, but it just, a slight fall, a closing of a door, it just, things can change pretty quickly.
Totally. Yeah. And I was so well prepared for that event and excited. And my first 5.5 days were just, they were smooth and solid. And, I wasn't trying to take home some gold medal. I was just trying to survive the event. And so it was really disappointing. I have been notably disconnected from the Dakar this year until the last couple of days here, because my brother and I talk all the time about the fact that we didn't finish that thing, and should we go back and finish that thing? And so it still gnaws at me something fierce. Kyle McCoy is back there this year to finish up what he started in Malimoto, and quietly went over there to get her done. And I totally respect and give him a big shout out to make it happen this year, because Kyle's not a guy to not finish stuff. He's just that guy.
Yeah. And to be honest, to all racers, but I agree with you. All of a sudden I didn't find out until the ASO released the numbers, and I'm scrolling through, one by one. And then all of a sudden I see McCoy. I'm like, wait a minute. And so, yeah, that's it was a surprise, but it's not surprising. Right. It's like, yeah, he's got unfinished business. So
yeah, for a man who's hiked, run the dog sled, Iditarod game, he's not a guy that gives up. And, I think we certainly put a ton of fanfare together and media stuff from last year. And I think ultimately he just wanted to go get it done and not really be put under some microscope of performance equation. So I fully expect we'll see him finish up this year as well. And, Jacob's back again. And, I think the American list of attendees this year is down to 6 or 7 compared to the record we broke last year of 11 Americans in the motorcycle class. And so I even see Farrah Price is, doing it up on the side-by-side. And, we've seen her at a few of our North American rallies. So I hope she really does a nice job as well. So it's going to be good to watch some of that. I hear they're going to have a little bit more TV coverage from the, MAV TV network is going to do a hour release in addition to, the couple 3 minutes we get from the Dakar organization. So more coverage is coming our way, which is good.
I think that'll be good. I mean, and it's the increase in exposure. I mean, and that actually kind of leads me to the next question. And we were kind of talking about overall, volunteering and doing what you did this year. What did it? I mean, what was the general sentiment? I mean, is it rally growing? Are you seeing rookies like really like, okay, I just got my ass handed to me, but I love this. I want to do like what's your sentiment of the sport growing here in North America?
I think we're a niche, obviously, and we saw some new players at Sonora, saw some new players at the Baja Rally. I was just at the Sonora Rally School last week, saw a number of new players there. So I think we're seeing more people come into the game. I don't think we're going to see hundreds of thousands of people enter rally in a short order, but I think, we pick up a few here and there, and a few of us old guys kind of maybe inspire some new guys to go out and try it. And, at the Baja, there was a guy that drove his Tenere all the way from Toronto to do his first rally. And he showed up with a Malle moto box tied to the back of that thing, 2 tire and rim sets, and he was loaded for bear. Yeah. And 3 hours later, he had that bike ripped apart and put back together. And, he just had an amazing spirit. He had to get off somewhere, midway through the race. And, but he's vowed to come back. And, we know this sport it's tough. It's dangerous. It's challenging. The organizations do their best to really put it on in such a way that it's all those things. And they do it with, some oversight, some safety. And so I think we'll continue to see more people enter the space. Just look at what's happening for events coming into North America for 2024. And there's going to be, what I think is going to be a fairly good amount of races people can go to. This isn't the easiest, cheapest race to do. But damn, it's a lot of fun. And if you catch the bug, it's hard to let it go. So I expect we're going to see some new players coming into next year, and we'll continue to see the sport continue. I don't think it's going to disappear. The real question is, can we continue to get the land and the ability to go play? And, most of us just love the off-piste HP part. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes that's the hardest thing for this race to put out,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean especially I'm in California, so and the story here in California. It's like it seems everywhere you go there's a locked gate, or a gate going up. It's never the other way around.
No, yes, I've said our issue isn't that we're losing land, is we're not making more of it. And to see what Scotty did down in Baja to really connect with some of the big ranch lands out there, that they give us some private access to some of that space where we're not ripping up old whooped Baja course stuff, is a nice driver for the Baja Rally. And, Darren, same thing, coming into the dune stuff and being able to do some of it off piste. I was fortunate enough to help cut a few routes for the potential upcoming Battleborn. Mm-hmm. And, we managed to find some off-piste stuff, and even got some feedback from Forest and BLM land on some of the terrain that we could go play on. So, Kent, you had them on your podcast. Kent and Jennifer have done a really good job getting through some of the bullshit requirements of the government. And, we're all hopefully hearing that he's a full-fledged go, and we have a new old Nevada rally back on the docket. Yeah. So, and then I think we'll see a lot more people that are willing to venture into that maybe weren't willing to venture across the border into Mexico in today's current environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I agree with you. I mean, and it's nice. I've already heard that from Mike Graves, it looks like Kota Rally is looking really good for this year, coming year 2024. With the Battleborn Rally, I actually got to check in with them and just kind of see where they're at in the process, because I don't think they've announced a hard date yet. So I don't know if they're maybe waiting for January 1 or something like that.
No, Kent's awesome. Actually, I just got to my mother-in-law's in Green Valley, and there was a pound of fudge with his name on it to me. And so I chatted with him, and I think he's waiting on a last few sign-offs to be able to truly put dates out there and get it to go. So, it's the government. They're here to help, and I'm sure they're on task and on schedule like they always are. Clearly being facetious there. Yeah. But Kent's just such a nice guy. He's a hard guy to turn down. And so if there's a guy that can work the relationship on that side, that's great. And clearly what the Dakar Rally did year before last was a huge leap in communication and connections with some of the local government world. And Mike did a phenomenal job. So if Kent can copy some of those pieces, I think maybe we can get a couple of North American rallies that are true rallies, And Kota was probably one of the most enjoyable rallies for me last year, and training wise, because I literally lived out of the Maui Moto box. We had to sleep in tents. It rained, it was speed limited, but it was, cool. It was nasty, rocky stuff. So the first 3 days of the Dakar felt like, the first couple of days of Kota. It was rocky, nasty, rainy, just stuff that nobody was expecting in the Saudi desert,
Yeah. Yeah, that was what was the spec on that? It was like an entire year's worth of rain on the Dakar dates. Like it only rains so many days a year, and it rained all of those days that year.
Yeah, it was. We went there fully prepared for the fact that there were going to be some cold days. You're going to get up at 4 a.m. and it's 42 degrees out, and you got to ride for 2 hours before you hit the dirt, and it's just part of the game at Dakar. But then turn it into sideways rain at 35 degrees, and it became it took a lot of people out. Guys were sick and cold, and I remember one day, I think it was day 3 or 4. We made it to the last checkpoint when they stopped us, section of riders, and they pulled us out and, made us ride back on the road, and there were so many guys that showed up that were totally in motocross gear, right? Like they show up to the start of the event. They shed all of their cold weather gear to do the, 300, 400, 500K of special. Mm-hmm. And then it went sideways, and all these guys are like looking for garbage bags and, trying to stay warm on the highway and follow a chase truck. And, it's when I was like, thank God I'm in Maui Moto, because, you just pack everything. So I'm like pulling out my rain jacket and my gloves and my little balloon seat, and, and I got my heat hand warmers out, and, guys are like looking at me like, you suck. I'm like, yeah, I suck pretty good. I'm going to be warm, turn on my music, going to ride for 2 hours. And, it was just brutal. Right. And, to lose an entire pit underwater was just crazy. So it was, to see some of that happen at Dakar, I think nobody expected it,
Yeah, it caught a lot of people off, obviously it caught a lot of people off guard. And yeah, when they were, canceling, stage, what was the first part of the marathon stage, right? That they canceled because the bivouac was underwater. Yeah,
they sunk the tanker truck and filled that thing with water. Yeah. And then, they got so bad with the tents that they had to reroute us. And everybody's like, oh, cool, we got another free day. Well, they didn't really talk about the fact that meant all the vehicles had to go do another 400 kilometers on pavement to get back to Riyadh to get resettled and restarted, Mm-hmm. And so that, it was still a tremendous day for, certainly the guys on motos, because they're just open elements and having to, ride that kind of distance back at 110 kilometer speed limit on pavement, when your dirt bike wears you out. Sometimes, if not more than, racing on full, sand dunes in the hot weather. It's just, they both just beat you,
Yeah.
They felt so bad for us Maui Moto guys one night, because it was raining so bad that, normally we're sleeping in tents on the ground. And so they actually opened up a commissary tent, and 26 of us sardined into this tent, and so we literally and it looked like a bunch of dead guys just sleeping on the ground. Turns out old Paul Neff snored significantly enough. Then we woke up, he had like this radius circle around him where everybody had kind of moved away, because when he starts snoring, dude, nobody else can sleep. It was awesome.
It's like a semi truck on a 16% downgrade with all the engine braking, not some of it, all of it.
Yeah. I learned that at the Dakar Rally when we had to do the marathon stage out there. So I was quick to try and get to sleep early, and I definitely put the earplugs in, because I knew as soon as Paul hit the ground, it was just going to be like it was over. A lawnmower and a weed whacker and a chainsaw all going at it at the same time. So,
yeah. Oh man, they knew. I'm sure people knew something was up when you knew where you had to move, or where you were when you strategically located yourself. And
I'm like, Paul, where are you sleeping? He's like, right here. I'm like, I'll be on the other side of the building.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, everybody's wondering why you're on the other side of the building instead of by the door.
That's right.
You'll know in the morning, guys.
Yeah, they did too. It was funny. It looked like he was in like the crater of a bomb. Like everybody around him had just slowly moved away, right?
Migrated to the edges.
It was awesome.
But it's part of the bivouac life, and knowing and traveling with these guys, and it's pretty cool, right? You think, he's you guys have shared sleeping areas in 2 continents already, it's and lessons were learned. Yes.
Lessons were learned. Yes. It's good to see him back up and rolling and doing his thing too. So, it's nice to see. So I'm excited. I'm getting ready, to watch this crazy Dakar for this year. It's going to be interesting to see how Skyler performs on a Honda, and Mason on a Chinese Cove, and let's just see what happens. So it's I've been getting my hands wrapped around it and my head into the game, and so I'm ready. I'm ready to watch. I'm ready. I'm assuming you are going to do a bunch of podcasts on the daily updates. What's your plan?
Yeah, I'm working on my the vocal cords, and doing all the do re mi fa solas and whatnot, and getting ready for some early mornings. I'm actually January 1. I'm going to switch my schedule to start work even later. If they'll approve it, just to have a little more breathing room in the morning to do a recap and do that stuff. So. Yeah, we're getting ready. And actually that was kind of cool, right? They moved it to the 5th of January instead of the 1st.
Yeah, they solicited a bunch of feedback to the racers after the event, and I think, at least from the majority equation, they said let's not try and make this such a crazy, complicated holiday event and push it to the 5th. So at least everybody could enjoy a little bit of time with the family and then not feel stressed out coming into New Year's. And so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I get it. I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't know why, we were doing it on the 1st just because it was the 1st, but so at least gives everybody a little bit of breathing room to get through some holidays with the family before we go, into full race mode. So
yeah, could be the, you think about even holiday travel. I wonder how much even the organization saves by not having to travel on the holiday days. If everybody's on the 2nd or 3rd, going to be flying in. Well, I would assume they're probably there before that, but I know it affects the bottom line.
Yeah, I think if I were to rewind to this year or fast forward to this year, that we would have flown in on the 2nd or 3rd for a couple. 2 or 3 days of acclimation and bike setup and doing that, right? But there's still a lot of pre-work and stuff to get there, but it might have made a little bit of flight stuff easier and some of that travel a little bit easier, So I'm assuming cost-wise for them and all that stuff's part of that game. So yeah, it'll be. I think it's a good move. I think if they keep it to those rough dates going forward, I think that might just make things a little bit easier for most people, right? You're not having to tell your wife and your kids and everything that you're not going to be around for Christmas or New Year's kind of thing,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, at least this way you can kind of move the New Year's. You can either travel on or right after New Year's, or at least you're only missing one and not two.
Right. Plus, then, all of us regular people are back to work, just secretly watching the Dakar on our computer screens at work rather than, doing it during our holiday time. So
I know, right? Yeah. So what are you thinking? I mean, what are your plans for 24? Are you racing? Are we going back to race mode? Are we going back to volunteers, splitting duties? What are you thinking?
It is a tough question you ask, and I struggled with that question a lot. I've broken a lot of bones in my day, and I've been racing since I was, I guess I've been racing dirt bikes since I was 20 something, and recognizing that I'm going to be 55 in about 30 some days, and so I keep vacillating back and forth between maybe I should stop racing and I should just be, a steward and help out at the organizations to, I went to the Sonora rally training, and, Darren was nice enough to kind of let me in last minute. And I said, I just really want to run a road book. It's been a while. And Mike Johnson was there, and, and so some of the regular crew, Ryan Marino and all the guys. And I met some young guy that had been racing the Baja for a number of years really fast, and he wanted to try rally. And so we chatted for a while and gave some tips on roadbook stuff. And so he went out the first day and just rocked it, had a great day. Yeah. We weren't tracking times, but we're always tracking times. So then
there's a theory I have on that.
I'm like, and the kids, whatever, right? The guy's like 30 something. And so day 2 was a little more advanced road book. And so I kind of started last. I'm like, my goal is to catch this guy, right? So I'm like hammering. So I went back into full race mode. And I'm like, looks like I did pretty good. And, I managed to beat him by a couple minutes. And I said, all right, I might be old, but I'm still smart enough and young enough to play in this rally game. So you may see me at an event or two. I think I'm willing to.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Victor with the Chasing Waypoints podcast. Hey, super quick. We have got some news for you guys. So Mira Activewear, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the brand. You should be. You've seen their handiwork if you've seen pictures of Happy Dave and a few of our other riders here in the States, but also in the Dakar Rally, a lot of the top pros wearing their windbreakers, custom-made rally suits and things like that. They have been phenomenal. They are a very, very high-quality product, awesome printing, design team, everything. But the reason we're interrupting this episode is they have got a fundraiser and promotional raffle going on right now between now and February. You want to get on over there. So you can purchase a limited edition Mira bandana set. So 3 special designs. That will get you entered into the contest for a grand prize of a full rally suit. So check out all the rules and limitations, all that fun, all that jargon. Get on over to the website. Link is in the description. And let's get back to the episode.
Volunteer, and there might be an event or two that I just decide I just want to participate in. Some of me, I'm a bit of a sandbagger, so I've been like saying, well, maybe it's time you guys had like a senior class for us 55 plus guys. So, at least I can still go home with a trophy.
The rally senior. That one always, I don't know where the cutoff is on that one, because I know Mario Mendoza was in that class, but I don't remember if it was 50 at Baja Rally or, I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So I'm still juryed out. In any event, I'm committed to volunteer with Kent as long as this all pulls together for the Battleborn. So whether that's doing some route validation or being there for it is on my game. If Mike Graves is listening to me, he's still on my volunteer list of things to do as far as events go. And then I don't know. I feel like Scotty has roped me in pretty good to play at the Baja event, and we still haven't heard from Darren. So we're all on pins and needles to hear if he is going to set some dates and make that happen. I think I just answered my question that I'm volunteering probably a little more than I'm racing. Yeah. But it's built into me. So if you want to race, just show up. I'm ready whenever you want. Just show up.
Just bring it.
There doesn't have to be an official race for us to race, does there, Victor?
No. I mean, that's the theory. I just did this, which was really cool. I saw, I worked this event down here in Tijuana, in Playas, and yeah, it was like an adventure rally, you know, like the Geico stuff and some of that stuff, just a route that they followed and on GPS. But like I was telling the owner of the place, I'm like, look, the thing is that you can't put 3 people on dirt bikes and not expect one of them to want to show up before everybody else. So, and sure enough, you know, it was, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, like, hey guys, it's, you know, it's not a race. It's just don't lose time, you know, doing things that you can avoid, right? Long fuel stops, food, and stopping to stretch and pictures and call home and all this. So it's like, all it is conserve your time. And, you know, as soon as I, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and let them go, man, they are ripping up the road. Yeah, well, you can't, you know, it all changes when the green flag is there. so yeah.
Yeah, even when the flag's not there, it doesn't seem to matter.
It doesn't really change. So, yeah. Especially if the rally comes, because, you know, especially if it's a flying start, it's not physically there, but man, when that thing beeps, you know, the time is on. So
I had the good graces to go ride with Johnson and brother Jim and Mike's son on a bit of an adventure ride up in Wyoming this last year. Mm-hmm. And so we used the rally comps in kind of an enduro mode, which provided us basically an arrow that we had to follow. And even in a Y in a road, sometimes you have to make some decisions on which way to go. Mm-hmm. And then the game was more about not really the fast guy, but the guy that, you know, got all of the waypoints throughout the riding days. And we did, you know, we rode for a week or so. And so we got in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, and my brother made some of these routes, Mike made some of these routes, and they were just very Google Earth, quickly thrown together. You know, my brother got us to some private ranches with gates, you know, so then we had to turn around and kind of reroute around stuff. And so we got in the middle of Wyoming nowhere, and we all kind of got lost, and we all kind of got separated. And so I had lost my phone a few hours earlier, so I had no communications. I was relying on one of the other guys to have a GPS, so I had no GPS. And so I'm in the middle of nowhere with nothing but the rally comp and an arrow. And I'm like, I had, you know, a few moments of anxiety. I'm like, shit, I don't know where I am. I'm like, well, I just need to follow the arrow. Well, the arrow got us to a fence line, and I went right a couple kilometers, couldn't figure it out. I went left a couple kilometers, couldn't figure it out. And so ultimately I got around the fence line and just followed the arrow. And then I found myself on another road. So all the rest of the guys had kind of rerouted off back to the pavement, got to our, you know, end town where we were staying in a hotel. And so I just followed the arrow because I had no other choice. Yeah. And so I showed up there, and I'm like, I got like 22 waypoints more than the rest of you guys. So I officially kind of won the event. Not that it was a race, but I've been living off that for a few days. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Suckers. I beat you at your own game.
That's right. After I yelled at him for leaving me in the middle of nowhere, I'm like, turns out I did pretty good. So I'm good. I don't even have to rush tomorrow. I'm like, I could miss a few waypoints. I'm still good.
I got a few. Waking up in the morning by telling him, do you want a waypoint? I might trade you a waypoint. Oh man, that is awesome. But I mean, you know, and that's a cool, I mean, it's a cool concept, you know, being able to do something like that, right? You know, it definitely wasn't about the race. And, you know, the person designing the route could play some tricks if they've ridden in there, you know, put the waypoint just a little bit off to the side. So you got to be on the inside of this corner to make sure you get it. And at the end of the day, it's not a race. You're just, you know, tallying up the waypoints. So
yeah, very cool. One of the cool things I've played with this year is really making routes. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to travel around the country, and so everywhere I go, I'd pull out my sexy tablet and I'd make a run, and then I'd GPX track it, then I'd build a route, right? So if you want to route in Prescott or Colorado or New Mexico or something, and you haven't really tried it, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to provide you the route and give you a little bit of guidance and, hook up your road book and just go run it. Right. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of HP, but it's still a very cool thing to go run your road book, on some of the back roads all over the United States. And, who's the guy? Paul Mumford. You know Mumford?
Yeah.
He's absolute character, that guy.
Yes.
And so, I'd sent him one of my routes I made in Santa Fe when I was learning how to rally. And I'm like, good luck, buddy. And take somebody with you, because there's a section that is so tough. You may need 2 people to get through some of the rocks and the debris that, we've routed on some HP stuff. And, so I seem to be amassing a small database of cool road books that, after I run them 2 or 3 times, they kind of wear on you. And then it's just like, it's like trading baseball cards, like, all right, I'll give you this one, you give me that one, let me try this one, you try that one. And, it's just a great way to keep engaged in the sport and go play a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, and it's something like that. This is actually a conversation that I had previously with Mason's dad, with Larry, and about, road books and the availability of road books. And it seems like a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people. There's people that they kind of gatekeep road books, and they're maybe not so forthcoming like with practicing. But I think that's on a different level, right? Because I think it's more like on the racers and more of the training and going into certain areas and things like that. So I can kind of see that, but it's cool. You do some recreational road books, right? And of course with the Riot Act, hey, I haven't ridden this in so long. There's always changes. Ride what you see. This isn't meant to be a race. So, when you hear some of the other like professional racers, like from Sonora, what I heard, it's like, no, if it's not in the road book, there's no reason to lift. And so that's kind of it's a scary proposition when you think about that. It's a missed note, it's a rainstorm, it's a rancher that drags something across the road, it's a piece of broken equipment on the road. There's so many variables to it. So I think,
yeah, it's almost, when I create them, it's almost easier and better to just not deal with all the dangers, because if you're going to ride them over time, they change. Mm-hmm. And then you just have to be like, there's a lot of dangers on this course, they're not marked, and you need to ride what you see and ride at a level that you can handle. Because it's going to change. And I get when the pro guys here on our soil have to go out and really practice at a high level, the last thing they want to see is a bunch of tracks, and so there's a mixed bag of that. But there, there's take what Todd did over on the east side. There's just the East Coast Rally he did. I know I've listened to some of the podcasts, and clearly, the East Coast is populated so much more than the West is, that, you're running back forest roads and you're running some of that stuff. You just don't have room for HP, and you got to ride at your level. Otherwise you're just going to hurt yourself, Yeah. So you can't, it's not like going down the Baja and tree running the course 6 times and then knowing that you can launch it off of that, lifter and be okay on the landing. That's not how it works in rally, which is part of the reason I like it, is you can't pre-run, and you're just not, you don't get that good graces of 6 times hitting that, that tabletop and knowing that you're going to get it on the other side. It doesn't work like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it's actually it's interesting what you say. Yeah, if you, I'm looking at in the studio, I have a Baja Rally road book, and the amount of detail, that Scotty builds into these things and tries to build detail into. And I say try because it's one of those things, like, you sit down, you put all of this detail into it, and you're just trying to be super specific, but then there may be like that one note, right? That's the whole thing. And that, a road book is only as strong as its worst note, and like a chain. So I think what you're saying, like, I agree with that, is like, hey, I'm not, no dangers, just major landmarks, corners, those are marked, because you need that to be able to navigate, but the rest of this is basically, like you said, is on you. This is just meant to get you around. I made it through. There might be some dangers, so don't be an idiot.
Yeah, I know it's, I tell you from volunteering, I just continually come away impressed that guys like Darren, Scott Whitney, Scotty Bloom, Mike Graves, all those guys can put together multi-day road books to that level of detail and have that minimal amount of errors. Like, I make some road books, but when I first got into road booking and, prepping for races, I made a road book that was like 80K and I got lost in the first 10K of my own road book and I made it, and I've gotten steadily better, but it's a lot of detail and a lot of effort to really put together road books of those quality. And hats off to all those guys for really making what we get to go play on. And, and I remind people all the time, because some people get fired up like, well, that road book was wrong. I'm like, it was 300 kilometers. Are you really going to go yell at the guy because he had one note out of 300 kilometers that was off a little bit? I'm like, you should go thank him for putting together such an amazing document that we all get to go play on. And if you had to go chase around for 5 minutes to find the right waypoint or even open up a waypoint, well, you should feel pretty lucky that this guy put this much effort into the game. And they just do, it's just phenomenal. I got to spend some time with Scott Whitney from Baja side of the game, or for Sonora side of the game. And, he's just like it's amazing how he can process information and really work a road book. It's impressive. Scotty does the same thing. And so it's amazing what they can put together. And, going to the Dakar, like 800 kilometers. I don't know how. And then they made changes midway through the race, right? And I'm like, I don't know how they could possibly have kept up with that and done it with such an amazing level of detail. It was impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I only see the shadows of it in some of the road books and reading, or not, I'm not going to say some of the road books, but in some of the newer symbols in Rally Navigator and things like that, where it indicates that, hey, this is a hot change. This was made after the road books were printed. You need to add this. They have a way of cluing that stuff in. And then you see there's where Skylar and it was Saunders, I believe, that had their off at Sonora. You see how they update the road book, and then there's certain things. And there was initially there was some back and forth on the notes. About, well, you can clearly say that the note says it's the next few kilometers, watch out for this. But, their side of the camp is like, the game we play is, if it's not in the book, you don't lift because the guy in front of you isn't, or the guy behind you isn't. So it makes it interesting, having to make changes on the fly, and then without the luxury of time and pre-running it and handing it off to somebody to test it and verify it, you have to make a change, that's obviously pretty important. Just like, having the luxury of having somebody pre-run that road book that's not racing, but that you can see like, okay, yeah, cool, this is good enough. This was, they were able to find this danger. They were able to navigate this. It wasn't as tricky as I thought it was, because you make the road book and it's you explaining to yourself how to navigate it, but it's different when you try and explain it to somebody else with the notes.
Yeah, it's like, I went down and did the route validation for the Baja Rally this year, and literally drove through the eye of the Hurricane Hillary. There were a lot of jokes, but drove through the eye of the hurricane with Hillary in order to do these route validations. Like the first day, we couldn't even get out where we needed to go because it was still just underwater, and then everything was seeded, and, we had to do some modifications, but, we still managed 300 kilometer days for 6 days of racing and, pulled it all together. There were roads that were just literally, washed out, 8-foot cliff drops into the wash, and an 8-foot cliff back up. And so we had to find some reroutes to get around some of that stuff, and the one bad weather storm changes everything. Right. And you can be prepared for it. But you can't reroute until after it's done. Right. And, so it's tough to make changes, certainly last minute on events like that. Sonora dealt with it, Baja dealt with it. I mean, everybody's dealt with it to some level and some degree, Yeah.
Yeah. It puts a strain in the, on the organization. Yeah. I remember what was a few years before that, 3 years would have been before that. Scotty nailed it. It's like every 2 years or every 3 years, the hurricanes come up and basically reset the area that they play in. And I remember that, he's in riding gear walking into, the second day of the event. Yeah. All muddy after making changes and doing all of this stuff because it's just that gnarly. It can change so quickly. So.
It's that's why we get to go ride in places nobody wants to go, hang out in, right? We get the desolation and the damaged areas. That's our game these days, and and fun places for us to play for sure. So
sure. So in closing, what do we think? All red podium, Dakar 24, or are we going to get some Austrian bikes mixed in there?
Oh, that's you're looking for predictions. I am hopeful. I raced Honda for a couple of years, Baja and all that stuff. So, Honda's never, at least in my decade of really digging into the Dakar, has struggled with just the reliability of their products. So I'm really hoping that comes through. And with Ricky and Skylar, two of the best talents, I fully feel like we're going to see another podium finish on a Honda World. Is KTM going to get knocked off the throne again? I think they have. Yeah, it's going to be a tough toss between those two brands specifically. It's interesting to see more brands coming into the game, certainly at the Dakar. I think we're all going to be watching what Mason does on this Chinese product. And more guys have it now, and really, it's got a new motor that's not a Honda knockoff. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that space. So I don't know, I guess if I have to put my money on something, my money's always on Skylar, just because he is such a great steward for this industry, and he speaks well, and he races at a phenomenal level. And so he's kind of my hopeful. Ricky and, clearly Mason showing up at a high levels on the top of my list as well. So yeah, I don't know if you're asking me to proverbially bet the dollar. I got $1 on Skylar. Who's your money?
That's a good one. I feel like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, on the reliability. Can you split the money between Skylar and Ricky? That's the.
Don't be all politically correct on me, Victor, dude. I'm looking for somebody.
We're looking for some definition. There.
Yeah. You can't. It's not my wife who watches football. Somehow she's got to the point that she has an A team, a B team, a C team, and a D team. I'm like, honey, you just got to pick one horse and race it, right? I'm like, who's it going to be, Victor? If I put you on a wall with a gun, who's your money?
Who's the pick? Man, I think I'm going to go with Skylar. I know, same, it's the same horse, but his progress up the ranks has been good. And I think that is like his up the standings. And I feel like from what I'm seeing, at least on the Honda side of it now, being part of the team, I feel like Honda's supporting him. Like you can just see it a lot better. They got the hype around him. They got all of this stuff going on. And I mean, honestly, I could totally see a 1-2, Skylar and Ricky, and then, maybe Toby, on that third step, because obviously they just lost it was Matthias that they lost. And then I think one of the Benavides brothers, I think, was also injured recently.
Yeah, I
so
saw
they're
that too.
losing. Yeah, they're losing rounds. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, hard money would be Skylar up top, Ricky second, and then Toby. But definitely, I'm really rooting to see the Hondas on the podium. Drive that a little bit in. I'm not. I'll say. I mean, they don't sponsor the show, so I no necessarily brand loyalty. But I wasn't too happy with how things kind of shook out with the Austrian brands versus American competitors. For the Dakar and Rally, maybe I don't know the whole story, but from 30,000 feet, that's what it looks like to me, and I'm not necessarily impressed with that. So,
yeah, I get that too. I'm an old KTM dealer, so I have real brand loyalty to the old KTM franchise. I still wear KTM underwear, so I'm all about that black and orange. I have 2 black and orange flavors, and that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just constantly impressed with my RFR that I own, that I get to play on over here. So it's a tough toss when you really, I almost wonder if there's true betting odds on the Dakar. Like, we could bet on horses. Can we, is there an over under, and what are the odds? And, it's, especially when you look at last year, last year was so competitive right down to the last day.
Literally the last day.
When you race for, 8,000 kilometers and it's a matter of minutes separating 1 and 2. It's amazing the performance level of those top 10 guys, right? It's amazing. So it makes for good watching, good talking, and good racing. That's for sure. So I don't think we're going to be disappointed this year in that activity. And if you throw in a few, Ross Branches and Mason Kleins on some odd brand stuff, and they put out some wins and some stages, it'll be a fun game to watch, and they've clearly, I don't know what this crazy, marathon camping in the middle of the, desert bivouac thing is going to be, but that should add a little bit of interesting complexity, certainly to the top rally pro guys,
Yeah, I agree. They're not the communication side of it and where everybody's at, timing wise, and how they would be able to figure that out if they can. And that's going to be an interesting, this is definitely going to be an interesting monkey wrench going. On the surface, it looks cool. I think I haven't really heard anything negative about it. So I think that'll be an interesting, it'll be an interesting change. I was kind of following a little bit of the marathon stage, right? It's 4:00. They're going to ring a big bell, and you have to go to the do you have to go to the closest bivouac or the next bivouac? So if you pass the bivouac and then it becomes 4:00, do you got to go backwards, or do you get to continue to move forward to the next bivouac, right? Closest without going over kind of philosophy. I don't know if I read that in the details. They're not going to, I don't know, maybe they are going to turn you back and give you an arrow to get you back, right? Or are they going to let you race towards the next one? I didn't read that somewhere in their rules, I believe, from what I understood, and a few explanations that I got, is they ring the bell at 4 p.m. and you just passed bivouac 2. You got to make it to bivouac 3, but they're going to take your time from 2 and then add in that time. So when you get to 3, you're still on the clock, but then they add that stage time. So they'll take your arrival time at 3 and add that time. Technically you should have stopped at 2 because that's when the bell rung. But, we see that from 2 to 3, you made it in 3 hours. So we're adding those 3 hours to your stage.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that is, I don't know how. That's, again, it's not until we get there and we get some more official explanation from the Dakar on that chrono stage. I think that's what they're calling it. This is a chrono stage. So
The chrono stage.
It's going to be.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and whether it becomes a real point of contention for top guys and everybody protests and puts some bitching in, or whether they're like, that was pretty cool, let's keep doing it, Yeah. So I like the concept, and I love the sleeping out in the middle of the dunes nowhere kind of thing, and a very remote kind of place. I think that's kind of neat. I hope it's not pounding rain and freezing cold for them, but should be interesting to watch. So
yeah, I agree. It'll be good. So where's next stop after where you're at now in Arizona?
I seem to have gotten back into the motorsports, power sports industry pretty hard, and so I'm working a bunch. So I'm doing some in dealership training on sales and finance process. So I roll from here to Paducah, Kentucky, and then down to Florida with Route 1 Motorsports, and then somewhere near Virginia. And so my January and February are very specific to motorcycle dealers, and then I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I'm waiting on notice from the Battleborn Rally so I can commit to that one. I'm hoping to put a couple of adventure rides on the schedule for the summer. And, I just got back from Australia, which was absolutely phenomenal. And I got to ride with a really cool guy that's hiked Mount Everest a couple of times. And so I'm thankful this time of year and very fortunate that I have a life that has been provided to me completely by the motorcycle industry. And I wouldn't be where I'm at without them. So you guys are awesome. So I'm continuing to play on the National Dealer Association board. So I got a lot of work going on. So, but good work and fun work, and I get to do it. And it's cool that I get to play with motorcycle dealers still, even though I'm not one anymore, Yeah. So that's what I got going on.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And I mean, and it's important because we kind of know overall, the followership and the riders, right? New riders getting on motorcycles has been, dropping for years. So I think, seeing that and hopefully, spurring some growth.
Yeah, I'll give you my one rant, and I know our time's up, but so I've always believed, and then sometimes it's an OEM to dealer relationship challenge, but I've always believed that the passion of our industry starts at a very local level, right? And it's been the local dealer, right? It's been Malcolm Smith Motorsports and, some of those guys that just inspire us to go ride, right? And it happens usually at your local dealership level. And as OEMs have started to try and do more stuff online and sell their product online, I think they have forgotten that most of that happens with the, race on Sunday, sell on Monday philosophy that happened from a bunch of guys that decided that they loved this business so much they got into it, And I used to always joke in the industry, if you wanted to make a small amount of money in the motorcycle industry, start with a large amount of money, right?
Yeah.
Because we all got into this because we just love the sport and we love the experiences that the industry gives us. And I really hope to see that continued effort in the dealer network, that we, and you work for Tesla that, fights the dealer network equation. And I think it's a little different in the power sports space. We all love to go into the dealership and bench race and talk to guys that play in our space and help us with the best choices and the best products and the best things to try. And so, that's kind of my goal, is to continue to foster the local motorcycle dealership in our communities. I think it just needs to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree. And I think that extends into the rally thing as well. More events, more local events, more, local availability of resources and information and guys that do it, and then we'll see it grow as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. I got to hang out with Dan, who puts on the SoCal Rally. He was there doing some training at Sonora, and, for guys like him that just put this thing on and kudos to that man, because he puts in a lot of energy and effort, not for money, just for the love of the sport. And it's, I expect that's one of those events I will likely be at for SoCal. So, and just to see what he does is just cool, right? So it's cool. It's just cool what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one as well. So we on a bike for that one.
Yeah, I must say thank you to you, because I now have an 890 KTM with actual real suspension, and it's a different bike altogether. Like, I've been beating that poor bike for the last couple of years, and now I've got like a true cartridge system, and I had challenges getting the rear one on, but I finally got to ride it, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, this thing's like a dirt bike again. I'm like, holy crap. So nice. Thank you for the swap. I appreciate the suspension swap.
I appreciate you. Yeah, no, I'm glad it's I know that was a bit of a marathon. Talking about a marathon day, I figured that one out was like 17 hours, I think, it was total driving for me. Yeah,
for your listeners, if you guys didn't catch, so somewhere Victor had a suspension kit on a 790 that he was going to let go to sell the 790, and so we did this crazy, like, I'll meet you in Vegas. So he rode out to Vegas, I rode out to Vegas, then we got into Happy Dave's garage. We swapped some suspension around. I couldn't get a bolt out of my rear shock, and so ultimately it all worked out, but it was a little marathon run for both of us. Yeah. So it was cool.
But but you got a dirt bike again. A really big dirt bike.
I know. Yeah. No, nice. I shouldn't treat it like such, but it's a good bike to treat like that. So
nice. Very nice.
Yep.
Well, excellent, sir. Well, awesome. Well, you guys stay dry out there. Have a good Christmas, and then we will talk to you in the new year.
Awesome, Victor. Always good to chat with you. Yeah. I look forward to hearing your updates on the Dakar for sure. And Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Yeah. And I'll see you in 2024.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, sir. Enjoy.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Later.
See ya. Bye. All right. So there you guys have it. Yeah. Okay. So spilling the beans. We are recording this before Christmas, actually the Friday before Christmas. But it is Rally Week, episode number 1 with David Pearson. Absolutely enjoying this. David has been such an influence in the rally community as far as, from volunteering to racing. It didn't really matter whether the helmet was on or off. It's always good to talk to, hang out with, the whole family, all of the Pearson family, everybody, in the bivouacs and just back and forth. Absolutely love it. So looking forward to spending some additional time, man. It's we've got a lot of events coming up. Obviously, they got the Dakar Rally. Maybe it sounds bad to say, but I'm looking forward to getting the Dakar Rally out of the way. We're going to know how our American racers did. Mason on the Cove, newcomer to the Honda team, Skylar Howes, Ricky Brabeck, solid in Honda. I'm like I said, I want podiums. Maybe we'll swap them. It's hard because, Ricky's been working. He's on the Honda bike. He's been on that pedigree, and just work and work and work. And moving forward, Skylar, same thing, growing up in the Dakar, moving forward, slowly making that climb up the podium, up to the podium. So, we'll see, hopefully I'm 1, 2, who, it doesn't matter. All 3 of them on the podium. I don't know, but that's what we're hoping for. I think it's a Honda thing again, maybe there'll be a Austrian bike mixed in there. So, we'll see, but it's countdown to the Dakar starting on January 5th. We'll find out a little bit more about that chrono stage that they're talking about. It's basically, from what I'm reading, just super quick on it, is 4 p.m. the bell rings. That's it. You got to get to the next campsite. There's going to be eight campsites or bivouacs, mini bivouacs, no tools, no nothing. Still, it's Malimoto style, basically. Whatever you're carrying with you, you got to stop at that next bivouac, make it happen, and then you're off to the races for the next one. So the next morning at 7 a.m. So that one is going to be interesting. That one is going to be a challenge. It's going to be interesting to see, who's the mechanic, who knows what they're doing on the bikes. Teammates split apart because of, none of I'm the real possibilities of before. It's like, okay, well, I'm on a KTM, and I'm obviously leading it, but I've got another one of the Austrian bikes that's coming in, and they're a tail runner. They're way, way back. I'm going to swap wheels with them and tires because I don't have that here. All of these little things, there's going to be there could be a big change up on that kind of stuff. If you're on an injured bike, you get to a campsite and you don't have a teammate with you that can help you with it, that can swap it out if you're in a better position. Interesting enough, though, if they're right there with you, would they? I mean, the clock isn't that different. It's different when you're hanging around, and you're going to wait 3 or 4 hours for your teammate to come in because they're that far behind, to when you guys both cross the line at 4 p.m. and you've both made it to that next bivouac. So you guys are both in the same group. That's going to be an interesting one for stage time. So we'll see what happens on that one. It is countdown again to the Dakar. So we'll see. So stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. Hope you guys are enjoying, looking forward to. If you're on this channel for the first time, I can tell you right now, we've got way more listeners than we have subscribers. So if you're listening to this podcast, hit that subscribe button. Absolutely stoked. We got a lot more rally stuff coming for you guys in 2024. And I hope you guys are going to enjoy the lineup coming up this week. So enjoy. And remember, guys, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride. What's going on, guys? Victor with the Chasing Waypoints podcast. All right. Are you looking to promote your brand to a worldwide audience on the podcast? Drop us a line at podcast@chasingwaypoints.com and let's talk. See what we can do about getting you some more ears for your company and getting the word out worldwide. All right. That is a wrap for the Chasing Waypoints podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Looking forward to our next one coming up. Remember, if you are out riding, do not forget to tag us at Chasing Waypoints. Hashtag Chasing Waypoints. And if you haven't already, get on over to the website. Get signed up for the newsletter, The Bivouac. North America's Rally Raid and Adventure Riding newsletter. Hey, let's have some fun. Let's find out what are you guys up to. Let's get you featured. If you're a brand and looking to get supported, get some eyeballs, get some ears on your business, absolutely hit us up. Send us a message at podcast@Chasing Waypoints. But anyway, that is a wrap. Remember, shiny side up. See you guys.